That's why you got the headphones on. Turn it the other way. You gotta turn your phone. It's outside. Yeah. See, there you go. There you go. You gonna miss it. You gonna miss it.
Yeah.
See?
Now I'm grooving.
There you go. You gotta move a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, you know, we should do one of them commercials like your boy Snoop and the other guy. We should do one. This reason make you want to do one of those. Of course, we wouldn't do the beer commercial.
Well, we could have fun with that.
We could.
Could we rhyme?
We could.
I think we could come back with rhymes. Of course, Snoop eventually looked at him and said, "What does that mean?"
Yeah, that's probably what it'd be with me too. We could do it with Kool-Aid or something.
I like it.
I like it. We could do it with great Kool-Aid.
Coke Zero. Hero. That's about all I got was a hero. So.
All right, y'all. It's your boy Pastor Mike with the 11th hour. I am 90s number 5, and I am here with a good friend of mine today. I'm telling y'all, man, this segment is gonna be off the chain. And he told me to say this. I'm gonna just say this off the bat. Call in, ask him a question. And this is going to be fun. So we talk about youth, family, and community on the show. And so the importance of having great people in your life. So today we're going to focus on the value of friendship. So whether you're a young person, whether you are a family person, whether you're in the community, man, you got to have great friends in your life because they're just so important. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, about the recent suicide of Twitch, about, you know, the importance of having good people in your life. So I want to let he should be a comedian, really. I don't know what he's waiting on. He should be a comedian. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself and just let the people know who you are and what you do.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Michael Murray. And
Michael Murray.
And I serve and work in a nonprofit ministry called Standing Stone Ministry. And in that ministry, we offer safe and confidential care to those who shepherd others.
Wow.
So we shepherd the shepherds. I do some mentoring and life coaching as well on the side, and serving my church part. You know, I'm kind of a ministry schizophrenic in some ways, but full time I'm with Standing Stone.
You're like a spiritual Jamaican, right? You just got a lot of jobs.
Is that where I say yaman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
That's what I do.
You know, you should go by the name Eminem.
Well,
like M and M, not like Eminem.
And that makes friends. If you remember the commercial, Eminem makes friends.
Yeah. See what I'm saying?
Which segues into our topic. I was also called M Squared.
M Squared.
Yeah,
I like that one too. Or Squared M.
I'm thinking about that.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. So when we talk about friendship, I mean, because it's really important. Like when you think about that, what does that mean for you?
Well, I mean, I think when you think about friendship, there's kind of two dynamics there.
Okay.
There's what I call the surface acquaintance friendship, and then there's the deep, vulnerable, closer type friendships that you have. And I think both are valid, but I think the second one I just mentioned is vital.
Mm-hmm.
And it's vital because, like, I didn't think it was vital. There was a season of my life I didn't think that I needed that.
Right.
I thought it was enough for me to know a lot of people on the surface, have acquaintances, and I could be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. And now I like them surface friends.
Well, sure. You don't have to worry about those.
Those are fun. Like, man, they good.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I can work a room like anybody, as you know, Michael, and I can work a room and I can talk to everybody in that room and think that they know me and I know them, but really all we know is just surface.
Just surface stuff.
Yeah.
Now, is it okay sometimes to have them types of friends?
Absolutely, it is, and I think it's necessary because here's what happens. When you have the surface acquaintance type friends, you can sometimes get introduced to other people through those, and that could develop into something more than just surface.
Right.
That makes sense. I mean, I think it's necessary, and I want to know as many people as I can in my lifetime. You know, I'm not going to limit that.
So what would transition you over
from surface to deep?
Yeah. What's the transition there?
Well, I think sometimes surface and acquaintance is not as much one-on-one as, like, if I sat down, if we were at a place where there's a lot of people and, hey, Michael, this is Michael. And we introduced ourselves, small talked for a few minutes.
Right.
And that's where it stays. But if I said, hey, man, let's grab coffee or lunch sometime, and then we did that, well, now we're one-on-one, which means there's some things we can still say surface there, but there's a greater chance that more things would be talked about than just, how'd the game go Friday or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because when I do a one-on-one with somebody, I'm going to ask them to share me your story. Tell me how you got to where you are. Tell me about your family.
Yeah.
I ask a lot of questions. Well, some people are comfortable with that. Some people are not comfortable with that. And you can pick up on it.
Right.
But from that, if somebody has a affinity or a liking to that, it can go further than that. So that's maybe where I'd say the switch could happen. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. And that sometimes that switch is hard too. I mean, it's really hard because you gotta want to be able to do that, which a lot of people don't. Like, we're so private. I did a little. Well, it's been a while back when I was talking about the suicide, like how the world has gotten so siloed now. Like, everybody's so private. Like, I don't know about your neighborhood. Like, in my neighborhood, man, like, people come home, they drive in their garage, they shut the garage before they even turn the car off. Like, they just don't want any interaction at all. So how are we dealing with that?
Well, I mean, there's a word I use always with people, and that's the word initiation. You've got to initiate friendships that are beyond surface. You've got to work at it, and it's not always going to come to you, and more times than not, it's not going to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what keeps things like suicide happening, is that everybody has this facade that says everybody's okay. I'm okay. I pull in my garage at the end of my day. This is how my life works, and I'm fine. When internally there's stuff going on that needs to come out, but we're afraid to do it, and we don't know how to do it.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Now I'm gonna tell you now me and I'm 2 squared M&M.
Quick, let's go M squared.
We gonna M squared.
Yeah.
See, he didn't like those.
I didn't like 2 squared.
That's okay. I mean,
unless it was hip to be square.
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, it really is. I mean, so like with us, man, we've been cooling for a couple years, and we met on staff at a church, and it was like an automatic, just like an automatic friendship. I think, in this political climate, with the whole, everybody trying to be woke, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we couldn't be friends, like that type of friendship, but I think something that you're mentioning about the surface friendship, that's kind of where it starts. But I think even in the midst of the surface friendship, there's a clicking there, like something's going to have to go deeper.
Well, and you and I we'd have that stuff going on the surface, but then there'd be those little segments of meaningful conversation too.
Right.
Whether it was about ministry or whether it was about people that we knew or a situation going on, that enabled us to, get a little further.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why we've stayed friends for as many years as we have.
Right.
And that when we maybe had a time where we didn't see each other, when we got back together, it was like we hadn't been apart.
Yeah, because we have the same issues. And I think that helped a lot too. We was both on the church staff. We both was doing ministry. We both was going through craziness. But we worked through that, and we saw something. And plus, we was Cowboy fans.
Well, I really wished we could talk about the Cowboys the whole time, but I know that's not the segment today.
I don't think I have the heart to.
I don't think
I'm trying to. I'm
low key about it right now. I've stayed low. I've kept my expectations low all year. We are Cowboy fans, so and that was a connection.
It was,
because there would be highs and there'd be a lot more lows.
More lows
than highs.
I think that's where we just kind of connected during the
well, I think it was like grief counseling for each of us when we were having that going on.
We was on the ledge watch for each other. So, but hey, things are looking up. I mean, I'm like you. I'm trying to stay, kind of calm, but it's looking. I mean,
10-3 is not 3-10.
That's right. That's right. And then I'm praying for at least 2 playoffs this year. At least 2.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to other people, they don't think we even get past 1. But
that's true. Yeah. But I'm thinking 2, at least 2. We could get to, and then your lovely wife invited us to the birthday that you had outdoors, and man, she had that cake.
Was that cake off the chain or what?
Man, I'm still thinking about that cake. It was really good.
If you remember that day, I had a cowboy shirt on, so I matched the cake.
You did, and you looking good too. I'm just saying.
I really appreciate you saying
that. You were not in a bad way, but
correct.
You was looking good in a good way. So, tell me, why do you value friendship?
That's a great question. Well, initially, what I'll tell you is I need it.
Okay,
and I want to lead with that because I need to have the type of people around me that do two things. One, they encourage and support me, but also they advise me. And I think you can have those kind of friendships to the level where your skin doesn't have to be so tough that you can't handle things that people that you respect and know very well are speaking into your life. I need that, with especially all that I do, all that I'm about every week. So I value it, but then also there's just something about having guy friends, and there's nothing wrong with having friends that are girls, but having guy friends where you can not just be surface, but you can have life conversations about man stuff,
right?
That really you can only talk to a man about,
right?
I mean, I can give examples, but I don't think I have to. I mean, I think how do I be a better husband?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna talk to a man who's a good husband about that.
Right.
How do I lead my kids? How do I serve well? How do I deal with stuff? We can get into I don't want this to be a sex talk, but we can get into sexual temptation. We can get all those kind of things are things that men need to talk. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, most definitely, especially when we talk about our kids. Woo.
Yeah, that's a 6-part series, I think, on kids. Part one is God, why did you give me kids? That's probably and then you have to go that he did, and we got to deal with that. So.
Yeah. I think for me, when you get that advice from a friend, culturally, I'm not even gonna say culture. I'm just saying from men wise, what keeps us around? Like, because we've had so many men that, whether it be through divorce or whether they just don't want to be there. Like, I glean from you, like, dude, why you stay there? Like, why you staying in the fight? Like, your kids are a lot older than mine, and why you staying in the fight? Like, let them go. But you're like, no, that's what I'm in. So I learned from you to hear about why you still in the fight.
Well, and I left the fight about 7 or 8 years ago, and then I've re-entered the marriage. It's not a fight, but I've re-entered that.
Well, I want to be more specific, just with the kids.
Just with the kids?
Just the kids. Not that's another 7-part series.
Yeah, one thing I always tell men is, and couples and married couples when they're dealing with their children, is value the relationship over their behavior.
I like that.
Well, and here's why. Because if we value the behavior over the relationship, we're going to check out of them, because they're going to do stupid things, or they're going to make poor decisions, or maybe decisions that even affect you and I.
Right.
And we can check out and say, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
You're 18. I ain't dealing with this anymore. But if you value the relationship above that, then what you're hoping and praying is they're going to come back. They're going to learn from that at some point. Sometimes it takes longer than others for some kids, as we know.
Exactly.
But then that relationship can be strengthened later on. And that's, I've had to think about that with at least my 2 older kids, for sure.
Right.
So I don't know does that connect?
Yeah. Cause how do you do that though? I mean, especially when the behavior is so outside what we would consider, the values of my family.
Well, sometimes you have to set boundaries. I mean, there are times where you have to set boundaries, which doesn't make them happy in that moment, but you're doing that to really help them, even if they don't see it right now. Sometimes you have to have a separation time too. I mean, I've had to deal with that, where there's not a lot of conversation happening, which is harder on the mom usually than the dad, although it's just as hard for me. But I mean, you have to do that sometimes, you know. And I don't want to. This is not a faith-based podcast. I guess it is a little bit, but I would say, you know, the Lord disciplines those He loves.
I mean, why would you even? I mean,
I'm just saying. I didn't know what it was. I mean, I'm trying to be.
Yeah, we
go
ahead.
But we are. I can talk freely about anything. Can I?
Man, anything. You can talk about toenails if you want to.
I don't like toenails. I only like toes. The Lord disciplines those He loves, and so it doesn't mean that it makes Him excited to discipline us,
right?
But He loves us enough to do it, and we have to also do that with our kids. We have to say, listen, tough love and discipline love is still love,
right?
At the end of the day,
right?
And I want you to be more than what you're wanting to be right now. And as the person that God's put over you, I'm going to lead you that way. You're going to resist it. Sometimes you're going to rebel against it. Sometimes you're going to not even like anything about me,
right?
But I'm going to keep telling you I love you. I'm going to keep telling you I love you. I'm going to keep telling you I love you. And eventually, hopefully, the value of the relationship over the behavior, you know, comes to play. And I have a better relationship with my oldest son now, I think, because of that.
Yeah,
I really do.
And I think that's really important. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about that, and I'm thinking about some things on myself. Like, you know, you sometimes you want the behavior to line up so that you can have the relationship, but you're saying it needs to be the relationship no matter what the behavior.
Well,
or are you saying, well, what are, now let me put words in your mouth.
Here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Does the Lord love you based on your behavior?
Right.
Or does He love you regardless?
Right.
Well, the answer to that is obvious. He loves you regardless. Too much so to leave you the way you are.
Okay.
We have to also model that to say, hey, and you know, somebody would say, well, yeah, I can say out loud, I love them no matter what because they're my kids. And that's not always true.
Right.
It's not always true.
Right. I
just think if we have that mindset, because when they're growing up, I don't care if they're my friend. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make disciples.
Right.
But when they get older, to be adult age, the hopes are is someday we'll be friends, even though I'm still their dad.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it goes back to our conversation about friendship. It goes, sometimes, you know, what I'm hoping is that one day I'm going to be one of the first people they want to talk to when something goes down.
Yeah.
And not the last person.
And I think that's as a piece, as a parent, and especially as men, you know, we just like, you know, it's just like, it is what it is. But that shuts that door, you know, because they feel like, which in some ways they could feel ashamed to come back to you.
Yeah, let me speak to that, because in what I do on a regular basis, I want to be two things. I want to be approachable and I want to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I want my kids to feel the same way too. Hey, whatever I've done, I can go to dad or mom.
Right.
And they're going to not maybe be happy about it, but they're going to seek to understand, and they're going to love me still. And they're safe and approachable. If we lower the boom, and I've done that before, so you know that. I mean, I've done that before.
Right.
You've done that before. Then that safe and approachability goes out the window sometimes.
Most definitely.
And and I think that carries over to friendship and everything. I mean, you want those close and deep friendships with your kids or with people to be safe and approachable. Hey, I can go to Michael because he's safe and approachable. I need to talk to somebody about it, and I want it to be so. That I think that's the overall goal.
You know, we say that, you know, we say we want that friend to tell us, you know, we got lettuce in our teeth, or, you know, there's a booger in your nose, or you got Cracker Jack.
By the way, do I have one right now?
I would tell you.
Okay,
I would tell you.
That's because you're a good friend.
Close enough that we would say that. But
I don't like lettuce as much, though.
But I mean, or broccoli.
Oh, I don't. I like that less than lettuce.
I'm just saying, I eat broccoli raw. I don't like it cooked. I know that's crazy. I don't like cooked.
Tell me you don't like Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, I don't like them.
Yeah, I don't think they're good at all.
I don't care either. We were somewhere, my wife was like, "Oh, these Brussels sprouts are so good." I was like, "Okay, I'm glad."
Good for you.
Yeah, good. I'm not gonna eat them, but we say we want that type of friendship. I mean, the Bible calls us to have that kind of friendship, but do we do we really want that? I mean, some people say I want that, but then when you do get that, you backlash against that.
Well, it depends on. Do
they have the authority to tell you there's broccoli in your teeth?
I would
Is that what you
say,
mean?
yeah, I would say a friendship like that has earned the right. I mean,
Yeah.
you've earned the right to speak into me because of our relationship with each other. And I know the motive and the angle you're coming at with me. Like you're coming in love, not in judgment or condemnation, or hey, I'm going to be one up on you now because that's different.
Right.
Does that make
Right.
sense?
Oh yeah, most
And
definitely.
I think that's how the Lord does with us too. He doesn't come in judgment and condemnation. He comes in love.
Right.
But people who really love you want you to be better and want
Most
you to grow
definitely.
better.
Most definitely.
So in that case, I want that for my life. I didn't always want that though. So I think there's a growth that sometimes you grow in it in different ways. Sometimes you hit rock bottom and you grow from it. Sometimes you just see the value of it because you've let somebody in. And that's the other part. Letting somebody in is a risk.
It is. It is. It took me a long time to do that. I still have a hard time doing that. Even now, my wife will tell you, I just don't like it. I don't know why, but it just maybe it could be because of my past, the history a little bit. But I'm getting better. I mean, I'm getting better because me and you are really good friends.
Yeah, I feel like you tell me something, or I could tell you something.
Yeah.
Well, another thing,
But it took a long time though.
yeah,
It took a minute.
I think it takes a lot more for men than women as far as
True, I believe that.
I mean, women, and I don't want to, get into that conversation because
Right.
I won't win that, and I might be. And if somebody's listening that's female, they might.
Yeah, and you'll kill my show too.
Yeah, I don't want your show to stay on the air. But there's a statement that somebody said to me one time. They said, "What people think about you is none of your business."
Mm.
And when I heard that, I thought that kind of freed me to be real and authentic with people and let the chips fall where they may. If somebody's like, "Man, that's too much information for me," or I don't want to, I don't want to have that kind of friendship, then they don't.
Right.
But you're going to have to take that risk and be vulnerable enough to know, hey, there are some men and guy friendships out there that you can go that level, and it'll help you, and it'll sharpen you, and it'll grow you.
Yeah.
And then you can be that kind of friend to other people because you see the value of it. It's kind of a, domino effect.
Yeah. And it's really important too. I think for me, since we talking about this, is that, suicide is always a touchy subject. It's very touchy. And I think it was really important what you just said. You have to be vulnerable and open because as men, we hold stuff anyway.
Yeah.
We hold a lot of stuff. We don't want to share a lot of stuff for whatever reason. Think we're soft, we're weak, we're not man enough or whatever. But I mean, what you do, what are some things friendship wise that we could be observant about when we're talking to people, when we should be looking for? Is there like particular signs we could be looking for, or things that we should be noticing in our friends when we're seeing they may be going through some stuff?
It's a great question. I think one of the things that stands out to me a lot sometimes, and this may not totally go towards suicide,
Right.
but I think it could lead to that. How do they feel about themselves? Like you can have a conversation with somebody that may on the surface appear like they have got it all together, but they'll make statements that speak poorly about themselves, whether how they look, how they feel, how stupid they are, and they'll say those kind of things. And that lets me know there's a low self-image there. That lets me know there's possible anxiety, depression type stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of pick up on that and active listening helps that. Here's what active listening is not, is when you're talking and I'm thinking about what I want to say next or what I have to do the rest of the day. Well, I'm not hearing you.
Right.
And I think that's somebody wants to be heard when they're in that kind of state. And if you can repeat back to them but I think a lot of it goes to that. Like you'll hear people, if they're not talking well about themselves, that's a red flag for me. I mean, we need to love ourselves and care for ourselves and know that there's value and worth in ourselves. And that's hard sometimes.
I think when I think of friendship, that's great. I mean, because sometimes we're not listening. I mean, honestly, we're not. I mean, truthfully, we're not listening.
It's tough.
It is hard, especially with, if you're just distracted with everything that's going on around you and your world is going on. But I think when we think about great friendship, it's like, how do we find those friends where we can do that? Like, how can I just honestly just tell you what's going on in my life and know that you genuinely care. Like, I think for me, I've run into a lot of people who say people just don't care. Like, they don't care. Even if I say to you what my problems and issues are, okay, I know, because I just go kind of crazy. You just got to kind of work with me.
I'm listening, man. I'm doing active listening with you right now as you're all over the place. But
I know,
it's good stuff.
I know the ADD, man. That's part of my problem. I can't. It bothers me when I come to you, and I'm telling you what's going on in my life, but then you turn around and tell me everything's going on in your life.
Yeah, that's not why you did that.
No, I'm not coming to you to hear your issues and problems. I think that's the fear that people have. It's like, I'm coming to you about what I'm dealing with. I don't want to hear all the scenarios in your life.
Right. Another thing I would say about that is when you're listening to somebody talk, something I've used and said before is, hey, Michael, I need to ask you a question. Are you just wanting me to listen today? Or do you want me to tell you, advice, what I think, because sometimes people just don't want any advice. They just
Right.
want to get it out and let you listen and know they've been heard and know that you've really listened to what they're
Right.
saying. And I think that's key too. But a lot of people also don't want to burden people with their stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to burden you with this, you don't really care about what's going on with me. So therefore I'm not going to tell you. And if you can really show empathy and sympathy in the same conversation where they really know you're listening. And sometimes I'll repeat back, man, Michael, you kept saying this, you kept saying that this, this job you're at is just, so you got to be engaged to where they know, man, he is not looking around. He's not looking at his watch. He's not looking at his phone. He's not interrupting me, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I take that first advice that you got. I use that with my wife. Okay, am I listening, or do you want some advice? Because I want to know on the front end, because, they say men are trying to be fixers of everything. So I take that advice and I use that with her. Like, yeah, I'm just listening. She's like, no, I just need you to listen. I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to listen. I'm just venting. And I'm like, cool, I'm just listening.
And that's hard because 9 times out of 10, when we're listening to somebody, we know the answer.
Yeah, we do.
We know the solution. I mean, I've got the wisdom for you right now to help you. But they need to know that right now it's not time for that. You may earn the right later to speak in them,
Right.
but what you're really earning, especially when you talk about suicide, is the people who commit suicide for whatever reason feel like, I don't have anybody that wants to hear me, needs to hear me, or that I can trust to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's sad.
It is. And I think, you mentioned it too about just caring. Like, I don't think you really care. I mean, because when I have that's something, I know that could be a fault of mine. That when I have conversations with people, I probably shouldn't do this, but I do it. I'm not judging, but I'm like, if I share something with you, are you gonna work with me with what I'm sharing with you, or are you gonna go into now? There's nothing wrong with you giving examples of something that you've maybe been through, but I don't want the whole conversation to turn to now we're talking about you. Like, that lets me know you don't really care.
Yeah. Well, the real simple thing is they talk more than you do.
Yeah.
Through the whole conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm a question asker. So if somebody's talking to me, I'll ask a question, something like, you said that, what makes you say that? Or what makes you believe that? What, I try to use what more than why, because why, I don't know. I just like the word what more. I think, what makes you believe that's true about your life, or what makes you think that person feels that way about you? And because I want them to talk more, because I think there's more beneath the surface of what they're even talking about than what they're telling me. So
now, even though we may not see it this way, we know lots of pastors and lots of people that's in the ministry. They do a lot of work in the communities, and they work with a lot of families, and most definitely they work with a lot of the youth too. So what have you seen? Like, I met a young lady a couple years ago, and she pretty much wanted to kind of start something that you was doing, where we started ministering to the pastors. Like, they need a place to come, because pastors commit suicide too. I mean, of some of the bigger churches they do it too. So it's not just to the people who are not in charge, or people who don't have a relationship with Christ. It's everybody. So what you guys do, what is it that y'all look to do with pastors and ministers who are struggling, things like that?
Well, here's a statement I'll say about that subject. Leadership is lonely.
That's good. You should make that a T-shirt.
I'm thinking about it.
Man, I'll buy that.
What if I put leadership is ... where they have to look at the back of the shirt that says lonely?
Man,
if I put it all,
that
in
mean
one,
I have to turn around and
or
wait till you walk past me.
Yeah, but I'm going to pass you, and then you're going to be going, "What does that mean, leadership?" There it is, lonely.
Man, that's great. Well, what's the holdup?
I don't know. Maybe I need to find somebody who there's lots of people who do T-shirts.
Man, you could do your own. You know, they got the little stuff. You can go to little print, you can go to Walmart, get the
so instead of, I can cut out the middleman, right?
You can.
I like it.
You could be the middleman. You could be all the man.
I feel like you just got me a side gig maybe started where I could make some extra income.
Hey, I just want 10% of it.
10%. Oh, so you will
5.
Yeah, we'll talk about. We'll negotiate that.
But I mean, man, that'd be a nice shirt. I like that.
Leadership is
lonely.
But it may need to say leadership is lonely. Anyway, leadership is lonely. So,
but you think about them shirts, ain't you, man?
Now I can't start thinking about the shirt, about what it looks like. Thanks for giving me that idea.
You're welcome.
But because leadership is lonely, there's a whole lot of people in ministry. Here's the facade. Everybody thinks people in ministry have lots of close relationships, and they don't. You and I know this.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that's how I was.
Yeah.
In the first 19, 20 years of ministry for me, is that I knew a lot of people, and a lot of people knew me.
Right.
But they didn't know me, and I didn't know them.
Right.
So when I'm off the stage, or when I'm through with the program, or when I'm, when the lights get turned out, it's lonely.
Right.
So in Standing Stone Ministry, we try to be those people for the ministers. I've got people that I meet with right now who are in a healthy place in their life, but we have a friendship. They like to meet with me because we're friends.
Right.
And they value that. And I think that's the value of ministry friendships, is that if they can ever have 2 or 3 people in their life that they can hang out with every now and then. I encourage ministers to find somebody that doesn't go to their church in the community to be their friend, because then they don't have to worry about, how do I act? Not that they're going to act terrible. I don't mean that, but
I know, I get you. Yeah.
So
the judgmental part,
it's huge,
because the Michael Murray on stage is not the Michael Murray in my living room.
No,
I'm not the same person. And sometimes people have a really hard time separating the two, because you're not the same person at work that you are at home. So should I judge you differently?
Right.
Okay, I'm about ready to get on my preaching box right now.
I feel like somebody needs to get on the organ and start playing some music as you're talking. I'm
kind of going there, but I don't need to go there.
Okay.
But I mean, I just feel that's kind of what we go back to when we say, we're not being authentic. And here's a good one. We're not allowing people to be authentic.
Right.
And if I am, then that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, and if people can't, back to the ministers, if people can't be themselves in front of you as a minister, there's no way you're going to be yourself in front of them.
Right.
Because there's no commonality there. It's like, well, I got to watch what I say. I got to watch what I do. But if ministers, and there's a lot of them out there that do this, they will say, I don't care what you do, what you say. I'm not your judge, and and that's what I say to people. You're not answering to me for anything you do.
Right.
So feel free, be free. Now, the only thing about that with ministers is some of them can't let their hair down all the way, because there's still that fear. There's that fear of, well, I'm on a pedestal. People think I'm the best thing since sliced bread. I have no sin in my life, all those deceptive things. So for me to be vulnerable, there's risk there.
Yeah.
So I try to coach and tell my ministers, listen, the best version of you is the most authentic and genuine self that you can be in front of your congregation and in front of people. That's where you're going to be attractional and approachable the most.
I think, man, that's some good stuff. That's some good stuff. I think for me, when I hear you say that, I think about safe place. That's what I think about. And I think when you have true friendship, like I feel you are a safe place.
Thanks, man.
Like I could come to you and tell you anything, and I feel like it's in a safe place. I feel like you wouldn't go back and tell your wife or your coworkers or your other buddies. I think we need that safe place, and I think for some of us it's hard to find. I mean, it really is, because when you're not a safe place, then it's hard for you to find a safe place.
Yeah. And I don't even, I'd use the word safe, but I'd always also use the word confidential.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bigger word than safe.
Yeah,
But
it's hard to spell.
it
too.
is hard. Yeah, I mean, unless you have to really think about the I where that goes, and there's 2 I's in confidential. But
Is it
you have,
really?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, after the
Okay.
F and after the T.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
that's why we friends, because you can spell big words like
I did
that.
pretty well in a spelling bee back in elementary age, a
Did
long
you?
time ago.
Okay. Did they
that-
even have that word back then?
I don't think that was my word that I got, but whatever word I got,
You
I
got it.
missed it eventually and got out. I didn't win it.
Okay.
But confidentiality is an important word, because if I know that I can tell you anything, and keep in mind, life and death situations make it different, because you got to do
Right.
what's best for that individual in that moment to really protect and help them if that's the situation. But other than that, if somebody knows I can tell you something and it's not going anywhere else but here, man, they're going to tell you everything
Right.
because they know they can.
Right.
But the trust factor is huge. You've got to be able to go, man, I really do trust him, and he's never given me any reason not to.
Right.
And so I'm going to be safe to say what I need to say and know it's going to stay where it is.
Well, and that's what we're talking about, the value of a friendship, because there's a cost to it. Like, there's a huge cost to a good friendship. And sometimes when those friendships are lost, it's hard for us to pick up again and say, I'm going to invest my time and my energy into somebody else because this person hurt me so bad. So now I don't want to start creating that with somebody else, because I mean, you've said this a couple of times already. We can't be in that deep level with everybody. So we most definitely going to have more surface friends than we're going to have those deep friends, because those deep friends, there's a cost to that.
Yeah,
on both sides, right?
Yeah, and I think if in your lifetime, if you have, and this may sound really low number, but if you have 2 or 3 kind of friends like that, that's valuable. I mean, it's priceless to have those kind of friendships.
It is,
but they're possible. Speaking to you have a friend like that, then they let you down, or that does make it tough. But you can't give up because of that, because there still are those kind of relationships you can have. It's just that it's still tough to come back when you've been affected that way. But you have, you talked about a minute ago, friendship like that takes effort on your part, though. It's got to be effort on your part. You cannot just expect it to happen on your, you've got to be the lead in that too.
Yeah.
And trust that it's going to be a good thing.
And I trust that, that people do find a good friend, someone that they can trust, someone that they can pour into, someone that they can be open to, because I think we all need that. I mean, I love my wife to death. I really do. I love her to death, but there's some conversations that's just hard to have. Like you said, it's hard to talk to her about being a father. Well, I mean, she can sympathize with me and she can do some other things, but like you said, I need to glean from, another man. It's that friendship that helps me do the things I need to do.
Yeah. See, I believe, obviously, this is a statement that we won't get into a discussion about, but I mean, men and women are obviously very, very different. And in this respect, I know they're different. A woman's greatest need, I feel like, is security.
Most definitely.
She has to feel that. But a man's most important need to me is significance. Well, we don't find our significance always in our better half all the time, although they try and they stuff. But when another man, you think about Jonathan and David's relationship in the Bible, people have all kinds of theories about what kind of, but I think it was a very close friendship. And I can use the word intimate without feeling feeling weird about that, because I think it was an intimate friendship and relationship that they both needed for each other that they didn't realize they needed till they got it. And I think our relationship with our wife is the most intimate relationship we have on this earth.
Most definitely.
But we can have those kind of friendships with men that are healthy, nurturing, strengthening, and sharpening that can make us even be better husbands because of that.
Right. Most definitely. And I think T.D. Jakes, man, I'm a big fan of him.
The bishop.
Especially many, many years ago. He said something that I think when you use the word intimate, he used it like intimacy. And I need men like that, because if I come to you hey, you really my friend. Like you truly my friend. And like you said it earlier, if I come to you, you need to know, wait a minute, something ain't right. Like, bro, I know you, something ain't right. Like, so now you're not seeing the outer me, you're seeing the inner me. Like, bro, something's wrong. Like, we need to have some conversations. Let's talk.
Yeah, here's the best example I can use of that. And you're going to understand this because you're one of the ones I text.
Okay.
I'll text people and ask them, how can I be praying for you?
Right.
Sometimes they'll just give me a request. Sometimes they'll go, hey, you got time to talk?
Right.
You got 10 minutes, you can give me a call, or you got any time next week we can get together? Well, then I know it's more.
Right.
I know that, hey, there's something else on their heart or mind they need to talk about. And man, I'm gonna look everywhere in my schedule to find a place to do that, because I know the value of having a conversation and how important that can be, and how vital it can be in that moment for them.
Yeah.
That I don't even know what's going on, but if they're vulnerable enough to reach out, I need to respond to that.
Yeah. Let me get with you next week.
Yeah. Let me see if in 2 months from now I got some time in my schedule for 13 minutes, on Tuesday. Yeah, because by that time, who knows what's going on?
Yeah. It's like, it's 1 o'clock. Go. You got 15 minutes. What you got?
Yeah.
We're such a busy society.
Well, that's another thing I'd say about friendship too. There's got to be margin in our life.
Yeah.
To be available.
Yeah.
If we are so busy with our stuff, well, it's how you gonna have a good close friendship. You're not gonna have it because you don't have time to have it.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some margin, and that's a challenge because we live in a world that says busy, busy, busy,
go
all the time.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge, but that's another thing about working at it. You've got to give some time in your schedule each week to go, hey, if somebody needs me, I got time for that. So, and
you got to have those restraints too. Like you said, you got to put up, what do they call? I call them restraints, but we call them boundaries. You got to have those boundaries too, so I agree with that. But if I'm a good friend, if I'm that deeper friend, like if I call you, like I know you're going to be there for me. Just don't call me at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, you can call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, but here's the thing. I got a box fan going, drowning out my noise.
Yeah.
My phone's probably on do not disturb. It's just going to be tough for me to probably answer.
Yeah. Well, me too. I'm just not going to answer, but I'm going to answer you first thing in the morning though. Hopefully, prayerfully, things will be good.
The only thing is, if somebody calls me at 3, there is a good chance it could be an emergency.
That is.
So
it is. Pastor Philip.
Oh, I love it.
Oh man, that dude right there he's the best. I think he gave me one of the best advice I think I've had in a long time. He said, and I'm sure he's probably told you too, there's power in presence. When he first said that, I was like, what the heck he talking about? How do what that mean?
Well, I thought it's presence, not like a Christmas present.
No, there's power in that too. I mean,
depending
on what you put in there, but no. Because I think I was trying to decide whether to go to a funeral or not. I think that's what I was doing. And he just told me, he said, because I didn't really feel comfortable about going or whatever, yada, yada, yada. And he was like, you should really go. He said, even if you just go just to go, you don't have to speak or anything, just go. And I was like, well, what's the point of going? Like, preacher, like, what we going to go for if I ain't going to say nothing? And he was like, you just have to remember there's power in your presence. And I was like, dude, that's deep.
That's really good. And that doesn't work just for a funeral, but like really anywhere.
Well, yeah.
Here's the thing that I never, especially with me caring for ministers, when a minister shows up in a situation, hospital room, funeral, whatever, I heard this said one time that it's like God shows up in that moment. Now, we're not God.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we know that.
Put that out there.
Yeah, I'd say it to the people in the back. But we are a presence of the Lord that people view us as. And so when we come into a room, it's like, and that's a touchy thing, but it's true. And I think power of presence comes into that.
Yeah. Does that work when you go to a Thanksgiving dinner and they always want you to pray?
Oh man. And then what I do, because they do that, is I'm going to pray a long time because they want to eat. I'm going to pray a long time because they called on me and nobody else. I'm going to say, well, okay, if I'm the only one that's going to pray every time, then I'm going to make it a long one and make y'all a little antsy because that turkey's ready to be eaten. Now, if you call on somebody else, it'll be a shorter prayer, right?
Right.
So that's what you get.
I'm going to use that
next
time.
That's what you get. Do you want a long prayer? Well, then call on me.
There you go.
And then you don't get called on anymore.
15 minutes at the max?
I'd give it 13.
13 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all hear that now, because that's what I get.
13?
You gonna pray?
Yeah.
I'm like, there's other people in here that can pray.
Yeah.
Well,
usually I say something smart like, I don't mind talking to my Lord. Sure. If you don't want to talk to him. Now that's kind of bad though.
I kind of like that though.
It's kind of fun.
You don't want to talk to God? I'll do it for you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have a conversation with him every day. I'll talk to him again.
He know me.
He likes hearing from me.
He knows me.
Yeah,
what about you?
Yeah, does he know you?
Ooh, we're getting some good stuff. That's a t-shirt.
That's another t-shirt. I know him.
Do you?
Ooh.
Man,
we got a whole line going on. We got a whole clothing line going.
We do. I don't know who's gonna make them though, but it's great. I like that one though. I know leadership
I know
is.
it. Do you?
Only man, I think I'm gonna be thinking about that for a while.
I feel like perhaps, and go with me on this. I feel like now the side gig could become a duo thing here. Like we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it. Not just me, but we're gonna do it.
I could use some side cash.
Who wouldn't?
Man, I love that.
I love cash.
I do. Cash App. Actually, we should put that up. No, that
Cash App.
Cash App me your blessing. Like I'll take that all day long. All right, man. Hey, listen, I'm gonna run through some questions real quick.
Okay.
And
It's just like shotgun
shooting
popcorn?
from the hip.
Okay.
Shooting from the hip.
Okay.
So don't think about them too long.
Okay.
Just come with it. Who do you look up to for inspiration and mentorship? Who do you?
You talk about, you may give you names?
Well, I mean, you don't have, if you want to, that's fine, but I'm probably not going to know them.
Okay. You're not, nobody else will either, probably. I got a real good friend I meet with twice a month.
Okay.
I would call him one of my really, really good friends. I have a guy who's a retired pastor who I meet with monthly. And I have another guy that is probably in between there. He's just becoming a better friend, but he's got a lot of wisdom and stuff too. So,
okay, cool. What is the most important risk you took and why?
The most important risk? Is this talking about friendship or just general?
Just in general.
We're really honestly saying yes to a ministry that I have to raise support for, because I've never done that in my life. And it's stretched me and grown me in ways that I never thought it would. So that's what comes to mind right away.
So why did you do that? Like, you didn't have to, but why? Why did you do that?
I just really felt like the Lord had been preparing me.
Oh, well, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I want to use your words. What made you
what
do
made
that?
me? Oh,
yeah.
You turned that around.
I did, man. I flipped that on you.
Gracious. I'm not ever doing a podcast with you again. You're flipping things that I'm saying. You're going to use it against me when we get in public somewhere.
No, I'm not, man. I'm not going to do that.
I would say I came to the conclusion that the Lord had been preparing me for a ministry like this, and I didn't know it. And I couldn't say no to something that I just felt so strongly about. He was inviting me into. Okay. Even though that was the barrier, I still couldn't say no. And he's honored that. It'll be 3 years I've been in Standing Stone.
Wow.
In February. Yeah.
That long?
Almost.
Man, I didn't know that. Okay. How do you stay motivated despite conflicts and obstacles?
How do I stay motivated? Conflicts and obstacles, like in relationships?
In every area. We got to, just shoot from the hip.
Okay. So you told me to do that from the very beginning.
I did.
I'm trying to analyze it.
That's that ministry in you, man. Like, get the
motivation for me comes from my identity in Him.
Okay.
And that sounds like a cliche statement, but it's really not. If I value more what people think than what He thinks, I won't be motivated.
Okay. That simple?
I'm leaving. I'm dropping the mic.
Man, you're dropping it, man. What is the most memorable lesson you've learned in life?
Man, that's a tough question. The most memorable lesson I've learned in life. Wow.
Silence on the radio is not good, but that's cool though. Take your time to think about it. As you're thinking about it.
like being quiet and nobody not thinking the thing's already over with, or somebody's got a. Well, that's a deep question. Most memorable lesson. How would you answer that? What would you say to that if I asked you? See how I turned that around?
No, you did. You flipped that on me. I always tell everybody the most memorable lesson I've learned in life is I actually have two. And I've told this story about my mom when she didn't whoop me when I tried to kill my brother. She just, I know it sounds kind of crazy.
Like literally kill?
Yeah, I did. I'll tell you later off the air because they've heard it before.
Okay.
But she didn't, she talked to me. She literally just sat and talked to me for a long time. But the other one is Nancy gave me my most memorable lesson in life. When I was in ministry, I used to get frustrated because volunteers, they kind of frustrated me with some things that I was doing. But I was also underneath some of the pastors at the church, and they were getting frustrated with some of the things that we were doing. And so I was just expressing to her one time about my frustrations of those that was not doing the things that I needed done. And she said, "Oh, just like so and so's frustrated with you because you won't do what you're supposed to be doing." I said, "See, I'm telling you, that's why God put us together."
And what you should have said is, I just want you to listen to me. I don't want you to tell me any advice.
Hey, that was before I learned that. That was
Right,
way before
right.
I
I
learned
got
that.
you.
But when she taught me that, so now I'm telling you, I try my best to answer emails, text messages, return phone calls. I try to do things for people because I'm like, I remember her telling me that, like, you're a problem, just like people are a problem for you. So fix yourself first, and then maybe other things will flow. So that's what I do. So when I get really frustrated when I text and email people and they don't text and email back, but you expect that from me, so I just try to make sure I do it. And if I don't text you back, the first line I would immediately say is, "Hey, I am sorry I didn't whatever, but I really try to do better." So that was a lesson for me that I've learned.
As you were talking, I think what came to mind for me is, I think everybody is broken, but for me, I had to be broken. And when I was broken, I realized that was not a weakness. Is really going to be a strength in my life to walk with a limp,
Right.
but also walk more humbly and more dependent. So when that happened in I think if everybody in this world went through a broken time, that led to restoration, that led to more strength. I think for me, that was the biggest lesson I ever learned. And now when I care for people, I care differently.
I know, man, it's crazy that you say that. And I go to think about all the ministry I've done, and I think about, we always say this, let God break you. But do we really want that?
Oh no, I didn't want it.
I mean, seriously, I guess I'm going to a serious point, because that, by you just saying that, just took me to another place. Like, we say that, like, God break me so that I can be better. But do we really want that? Like, do we really want that? I mean, I know it's gonna take some brokenness in me to get somewhere, but man, going through that,
No, it wasn't fun.
yeah,
I mean, it wasn't like I was smiling all the time.
most definitely. Like, break me some more, Lord.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
break
man,
me some more.
just break me so hard that I can't even move.
Yeah.
But here's the phrase I'll use: it's necessary. It was necessary for me to be broken so that I could be restored and put back together in the way that I believe he wanted me to be put back together. And then I can be a better friend now.
Yeah.
Back to the friendship. I can be a better fill in the blank t-shirt designer, whatever it is. So.
Yeah. And I think, man, I just think that, I mean, we don't know the answer to suicide. Nobody knows. I mean, we can have our ideas and philosophies, and we've studied people that have committed suicide, and we can go back and look over their life. But I think the key thing is, I think they're broken. And while they are broken, instead of looking at ways of getting out, they just kind of fall victim to the brokenness. And because if anybody's listening, if you've been broken, during that time, maybe not those thoughts that came to your head, but you feel like, what's the point?
Can I say something about that real quick?
Yeah, most definitely.
When I was in my lowest point about 7 or 8 years ago, here's something I realized. I did not contemplate suicide in that low point, but I resonated with people who do.
Right.
I resonated with the fact that you can get to a place where anything's better than what you're feeling and what you're going through. And that is the easiest checkout, is to do that and make a, what they say, make a permanent solution to a temporary issue.
Right.
So I was able to understand that. But I think when you get that broken to where you say, you know what, there is no other solution, but it stems from two things. I don't have anybody that I can really talk to, which is sad. And I don't think I can be fixed, which is even sadder.
Yeah.
And suicide to me just always makes me sad.
Most definitely.
It makes me sad. The Twitch thing has made me sad. I don't know him personally.
No.
I don't. But every time I saw him on TV, I smiled because that Joker could dance.
Yeah.
But he always had a smile on his face, seemed to be laid back, seemed to be, those kind of things make me sad because I'm like, why does that have to happen? Why do people have to check out? Anyway, it just makes me sad.
Well, to go back to what you said is what you've been saying the whole time. That surface, like pastors and celebrities and people that are on the stage, it's like finding that one person or that one safe place that you can go and just be you. I mean, we both been in ministry, we both been pastors in some avenue, and we both been on the stage, and we both done all of that, and and then trying to find that one particular friendship that you could have, it's hard. And then, like you said earlier, it's like, do you really trust that person? Are they really there for your heart, or is he just there for my money or prestige? You want to take a picture? I mean, are you really there for me, or are you just there because of who I am? And so I think about that, and even we've experienced suicidal loss, with a young man that was there. And I think about that. I think about that all the time. Like I used to tell Nancy, like, I talked to him on Wednesday. Like, me and him sat in the hallway and had about a 30-minute conversation. And then Saturday, just 3 days later, and it's like, you just didn't see it. It was like, why was that not there? So you'll always have those questions. I know you will, to try to find those solutions.
Well, and I think that's why it's important to ask questions to people, even when you're having surface conversations. If you feel like you can, like, how you really doing?
Yeah.
How are things really going for you? Not how are you? Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blessed and highly flavored.
Yeah.
Favored. I said flavored.
You did.
I did. God put the flavor of God on you.
Flavor Flav.
Man, that's another shirt. Blessed and highly flavored.
I love that shirt. I would definitely buy that one.
Would you? Okay.
But I think too, I just think that you talked about the stage. It's when you walk off the stage. Here's an analogy. You walk off the stage and somebody didn't say, man, can I have your autograph? Instead, you walk off the stage to somebody that can now speak into your soul, have a relationship with you that they don't care anything about your stage. They don't care about your stage. They care about your soul.
Yeah.
And that's a shirt.
Man,
don't care about their stage, care about their soul.
Not the stage, it's the soul. Ooh, not the stage, it's the soul.
We've got such a line of shirts now.
Hey, Trent, I hope you're writing those down.
So many shirts to sell.
I know it. That's why I love our friendship, man, because I know when catch this. I know when I'm hanging out with you, I know I'm not on the stage. We could preach that thing all day long, probably.
I'm already getting 3 points in a poem and maybe a song to do that sermon.
Hey, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I think when I'm with you, I just think, I'm not on the stage. I'm just Michael Davis, and just able to be open and free and have fun. Because dude, you funny. Like I said, you need to be a comedian. I don't know what you're waiting on.
I mean, I hear the stand-up comedian is a tough life though.
It probably is. Probably is.
Maybe I'm getting all my stuff where I make the income, so that if I do any stand up and it didn't work out,
doesn't work. You don't have to worry about it.
Fall back.
I get you. Last thing.
Okay.
Leave. Two last things. What's your favorite scripture? And leave the people with something.
Okay. Favorite scripture has always been. Used to be John 3:30 that said, he must increase or he must become greater, I must become less. It's changed now to same book but different verse, which is John 15:5. I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit, but apart from me you can do nothing.
Right.
I've realized that I need to be connected to the vine and to people to produce fruit.
Is it?
So that's the verse.
That's cool.
What I would leave people with is this: don't be afraid. I won't say this the right way. Don't be afraid of the kind of relationships that deep down you need for your soul. That's what I'll say.
It's beautiful.
Just don't be afraid.
Go get you a friend.
I mean, the Lord says don't be afraid all the time in the scriptures.
Right.
So fear will keep you from the faith aspect of believing that you can have those kind of relationships.
Go get you a friend. Everybody go get you a friend. Go get you a trusted friend, somebody that you can be vulnerable with, somebody you can come off the stage for, and just be you, because friends are valuable and they're very important, and we all need a really good friend. So I thank you, Michael Murray, for being a friend and coming on the show and giving us all your expertise.
It's an honor to be your friend, man.
And you're a man full of wisdom. Hey, this your boy, Pastor Mike, aka 90s number 5. This is the 11th hour where we talk about youth, family, and community. Remember, go make movements, not just moments. I'm your boy, Pastor Mike. I'm out.